Mike McGarry for the Press of Atlantic City. He is back from a busy sports weekend. Phillies in London, Shop Rite LPGA. We'll get into all that and more right now with Mike McGarry for the Press of Atlantic City here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Mike, welcome back in. How you doing today?
Hey, Josh, doing well. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good. I know you kept busy at the Shop Rite LPGA. Tell us what your takeaways were from the event and how the weekend went for you.
Well, just a great event, an event that's kind of always been, signals the start of summer to me, basically. And yesterday, you didn't have a field filled with a lot of well-known LPGA golfers, but what you did get was some history. Lene Strom goes out in the morning, shoots a 60 on the Bay course. She becomes the sixth LPGA player to shoot 60. Only one player, Annika Sorenstam, has shot a 59. And then she completes the biggest comeback in LPGA history since the LPGA began keeping records of such things in 1984, as she goes from tied for 52nd to winning the tournament. So, you go to a sporting event, they always say, expect the unexpected. Well, I don't think anybody expected that. At the beginning of the day, she had 0.001% chance of winning, according to the analytics. But at the end of the day, she was holding the trophy. So a great tournament out there at Seaview with the Shop Rite LPGA Classic this year.
It's interesting, Mike, because before we get to the Phillies, one of the interesting conversations that has been having big picture, and we could bring it to the Shop Rite LPGA. And for you, Mike, you've covered sports at all levels, high school, college, pro. There has been a greater emphasis and attention to women's sports in the last several months in the aftermath of the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. For you, how have you perceived some of that attention? Do you think that, it has benefited women's sports in general or not? Like, what is your take on that? Because like I said, you've covered men's and women's sports at different levels.
Yeah, I think if you get a compelling personality, which Caitlin Clark is, it's kind of a rising tide raises all boats, right? And maybe opens up people's minds to looking at events that they normally wouldn't look at. The LPGA has a tremendous history. The Shop Rite LPGA Classic has a tremendous history. Some of its past champions, Annika Sorenstam, Nancy Lopez, Julie Inkster, Betsy King have been, Brooke Henderson, Lexi Thompson have been the best women's golfers in the world. And so I just think it's a great event. To me, kind of maybe some people are just catching up to what a lot of us who have followed women's sports and covered events like the Shop Rite LPGA Classic for 20 plus years have already known just how great and entertaining those events are.
Let's get to the Phillies, Mike. Obviously splitting the weekend with the Mets. You had the high of Saturday's game. What a win, what a moment, what an emotional roller coaster of a high for Phillies fans. And then the bullpen, basically the worst game they've had since May 1st. The bullpen literally choked away a game. Is it as simple as it's a 162-game season, Mike?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the Mets had actually been playing well when they went to Europe. They had swept the Nationals 3 games before they went over there. So, getting a split with the Mets, not the worst thing in the world. I thought Alvarado, I watched that inning yesterday, he kind of struggled with his command a little bit, but he was also unlucky. The ball up the middle that, if that ball is 2 feet to the right, it's right at Stott, and he's able to make the play. Otherwise, he dives, he just misses it. The infield hit the Bohm, kind of a cheap hit, and then the inning kind of unravels from there. I'm not going to push the panic button. They're 45-20. They lead the division by 9 games. Could they get better? Yeah, and I think we all know what that is. It's another bullpen arm that can close games, and it's a right-handed bat, to come off the bench or maybe play in the outfield. Those are the 2 things they need by the trade deadline, but I'm not going to push any panic button here over a split series in London in June.
Hey, Mike, it's Nick here. Taijuan Walker probably had one of his best outings of the season yesterday. Just what were some of your takeaways from his start and, what he was able to do through 5 2/3 yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, he threw well, got a lot of strikeouts. It clearly was his best start of the season. Like a lot of people, Taijuan Walker is a constant source of conversation around here. But here's the deal. Every game I've ever been to, somebody pitches. And the Phillies need 5 starting pitchers to go through rotation. And they're paying Taijuan Walker. He's in the second year of a 4-year, $72 million contract. Last year he won 15 games. He is a pitcher who I believe the last 3 years he's thrown more than 170 innings. He is going to get every chance. He is going to get a long rope. People that think, oh, he struggled, he's sort of pitching for a spot in the rotation on an outing-by-outing performance, just aren't being realistic at the things. Taijuan Walker might not pitch in the postseason. He might not be on the postseason roster, but between now and the start of the postseason, unless he's injured, he's going out there every 5th day, because even when he tends to struggle, he still eats up 5 or 6 innings, and you need those guys over the course of 162 innings. So Taijuan Walker is going to be in the rotation going forward, and to discuss, should he be pulled, he pitched well yesterday or not, he's the guy. They're paying him $72 million. He's going to be out there pitching.
Mike, when you think about the pitching, I had said before you came on, I am still convinced that the Phillies, when they get to the deadline, they still need a bullpen pitcher. They still need a right-handed bat. Did you come out of the weekend thinking any differently?
No, I think absolutely. I mean, I think yesterday, if they had a right-handed guy with closing experience, I think that would be a key guy to sort of pick up. And, yeah, they could use another bat, although Whit Merrifield did show signs of waking up. Dahl had another home run yesterday. Castellanos is hitting the ball a bit better. So, again, you've got to the trade deadline. You've got to the end of July to sort of figure this out and where they're going to be. But I think those are the 2 areas where you would say, hey, if this team had to improve itself and there was a guy available that fit that role, yeah, I would go get him. Only because I think the Phillies' window for a championship is really open this year and next year. Then they're going to get into some issues. I know guys come off the books, but the younger guys are going to have to get paid. I mean, how much money is Ranger Suarez earning himself so far this season? So, I think this year and next year are the Phillies' prime opportunities to sort of win a World Series. So to me, you got to make the roster as strong as you can going into October. And yes, I would agree. A bullpen guy that maybe has experience as a closer and a right-handed bat are the 2 things that the Phillies need to sort of make that roster as strong as possible.
Mike, what is your perspective on the idea? Mike McGarry of the Press of Atlantic City joining us here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig and Nick Earnshaw filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN at AC Press McGarry on Twitter. From you, I had said multiple times that I don't want to give up the wrong prospect because we've already seen around baseball. I know there's not an easy formula for this. I know sometimes you can't always predict this stuff. Almost everyone you traded for Cliff Lee years ago was a nothing burger at the major league level. But in recent years, you've traded guys like Nick Pivetta and Ben Brown. They've gone on to have solid, good seasons with other teams. Is there any concern that you don't want to trade the wrong guy from the system right now?
No, not to me. Again, because I feel that window is open this year and next year, I am going to trade anybody necessary to make this major league roster as strong as it possibly can be. So I'm not worried about giving up prospects. I'm not worried about, a guy like Logan O'Hoppe. Maybe, you trade him and 5 years from now, he's a star and you as a team are struggling because hopefully you'll have 1 World Series or 2 to look back on it and say that trophy, that trade was worthwhile. So at this point with the Phillies, I'm not hesitant. I am trading whoever it is necessary in the organization, prospect, young player, to make this team as strong as it can possibly be to take a legitimate swing at the World Series this year and next.
Hey, Mike, so I got to talk about Kyle Schwarber a little bit here. He's been struggling as of late, but he's hitting his last 3 games, but the homers and the power have not been there. Do you think it's just a case of kind of what Castellanos went through? He just needs to continue to get more at-bats, and maybe it'll come through, and it's just a long season at that point?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're all kind of a little spoiled, right? We're all wondering what's going on because today's, June 10th, and June is his month, and he hasn't had that typical June. So we're like, where is it? Where is it, Kyle? Where is your June coming? you know it's coming. You know that 2 to 3 week period is coming where he hits a home run just about every time up, and he gets unbelievably hot. I mean, one of the things about the Phillies, and is their Achilles heel a little bit, is they have a lot of streaky guys, right? Castellanos is streaky. Schwab is streaky. In reality, all baseball players are streaky. Nobody, goes, 1 for 3 every day. They all blow hot and cold, but the Phillies have guys who are especially streaky. Schwarber is one of them. I'm not worried about him as long as he's healthy, which I believe he is. Those home runs, that streak that we've seen the last 2 years is going to come. We're just kind of sitting on the edge of our seat, right? Because today's June 10th, and usually it starts June 1st, but it's coming at some point. And, I have all the faith in the world in Kyle Schwarber and what he can do for the Phillies as the season progresses. That hot streak is coming. It's just a matter of when.
Mike, before we let you go, I want to know what of the 3 big basketball stories from the weekend had more of your interest. Was it the Celtics going up 2-0? Was it Caitlin Clark being left off the women's national team for the Olympics? Or was it Dan Hurley now saying no to the Lakers?
I'm fascinated by Danny Hurley saying no to the Lakers. I mean, that is tough to say no to. I mean, you look at the Los Angeles Lakers, they are maybe the premier franchise in the NBA, right? And if you just look at sports franchises around the world, right, the Lakers are in your top 10. They're up there with, Manchester United and, I don't know, Real Madrid soccer or whatever, a soccer team in Italy, whatever their big soccer team is, the Yankees in baseball, the Dallas Cowboys in football, it's the Lakers in basketball. And when somebody throws a lot of money at you to coach one of the best franchises in the world, it's tough to say no. So I'm fascinated that Danny said no and decided to stay at the University of Connecticut because to me, Josh, there was no downside. If he goes and coaches the NBA, I think Danny is a smart enough coach and, has the emotional intelligence to adjust his style to deal with NBA players. So I thought he would have been successful. But even if he wasn't successful, okay, he returns to college in 2 years and has his pick up any college job in the country, basically, because of the success at Connecticut. So I'm fascinated that Danny decided to stay at Connecticut and turn down the Lakers job. He might be the first guy in the history of America to choose to stay in Storrs, Connecticut, and not move to sunny Los Angeles.
Well, we should remember we are 20 years almost to the day when Coach K said no to the Lakers. So it has been done before.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? And, Krzyzewski then, of course, went on to coach the U.S. Olympic team and sort of get his pro sort of experience that way. But, yeah, I'm fascinated that Danny decided to stay at Connecticut. It's great for college basketball. It's great for the University of Connecticut. But, boy, saying no to that money and saying no to the Los Angeles Lakers is, let's put it this way, not many guys, not many coaches would have made the decision that Danny did. And I guess that's kind of what makes him special.
He's Mike McGarry for the Press of Atlantic City. Give him a follow on the Twitter X platform at AC Press McGarry. Check out all of his coverage of South Jersey high school sports, the Phillies, and more at thepressofatlanticcity.com. Mike, you'll be back on Wednesday, and Mike Gill will be back that day as well.
Oh, there you go. Back from I saw he was over in England, so hope the time change doesn't get him when he comes back.
I'm sure we'll find out pretty quickly otherwise.
Exactly.
Mike, take care.
All right, guys. Great talking to you. See you later. Bye-bye.